I'm going to show you a picture here. Oh, by the way, I can't do this without Rob engineering. So Rob's going to engineer unless he's taking care of the kids. You know, he's got these two little girls and he's teaching basketball. But I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine. Matter of fact, I'm going to introduce you to three friends of mine. And you guys are going to enjoy these three friends. We're going to quickly go through, and all three of them have a message for you. So the first friend, his name is Bob. And with this, I think that maybe Rob will put a picture up of Bob. If not, this is Bob right here. So this is Bob. Can you see Bob? All right. So let me tell you about Bob. There's Bob. How you doing, Bob? What a guy. Became a friend because we have a common ground in mental training. Hey, Bob pitched in the major leagues for 12 years, had 110 wins, played for 6 teams. Was a guy who had maybe average talent, but at the end of the day, he knew that because of his development of mental skills, that he became pretty good. Matter of fact, when Bob stopped playing, he went to graduate school and he became a sports psychologist. As a matter of fact, today, Bob is head of mental skills for the Chicago Cubs. You say, really? Yeah, matter of fact, Bob has 4 people that work for him in the Cubs organization. So this is how important this is. Bob's book, it says 90% mental. It's a pretty strong comment. Here's my take on this. I think, frankly, that 70% of whether Kara's a great referee. I can tell. I haven't seen her work, but I heard her talk about mental skills. And my guess is that she practices some of this. And we have to get everybody to understand intentionally to do the kind of things that Bob encourages us to do. It's things like being in the moment, understanding how to overcome mistakes, recovering from mistakes, how to be able to be at a point where you're able to focus and block out the externals. And so many things that you saw today were things that, frankly, focus. And if we were in the moment, because I found that my 32 years on the court in the NBA at over 2,000 games, I missed a lot of plays. I mean, we could be on here for 6 days and show you the plays I missed. But I got down to this. So that I found that after we started watching video, there was only 2 reasons I missed plays. One was I was in the wrong place. And secondly, my focus was awry. So, well, I guess once we started working on video, I said, I want to try to fix this. And so I delved into the whole mental training. And that's really, with Court Club since September. We've been doing a mental skills series. We've had some of the best sports psychologists in the country come with us and share, and we have had phenomenal results. All I'm doing is just kind of passing the stuff on. NBA referees have been with us who have taken this and said, this is really helping me. And it's helping me in my confidence, my inner swagger. So there's a whole intentional thing that we can do, but you have to say that mental skills is important to me, and I've got to practice those things. I practice my self-talk. So, self-talk is merely one part of the brain talking to the other part of the brain and basically getting us to have sound habits. So basically with sound habits, I'm going to get better results. Self-talk. Another thing that that my friend Bob teaches is visualization. I've got to be able to see myself and visualize myself in that situation. I saw Kara working the game, and she was the St. Bonaventure's. Well, I don't think that she had a fear of the unknown there. I mean, my sense would be that she felt comfortable there. I mean, watching her in those few clips, she looked comfortable. But we sometimes see people who get to new environments and it's like, oh, deer in the headlights. And we can do things, practice things, visualization. Hey, listen, NIRSA, if you are really good with video and you use it the right way, it's the over and over and over again, you will implant pictures in your mind that will be recall when you see plays. It's almost like, oh, recall. Oh, yeah, I see that. And, we encourage people to carry plays around, put them on their iPad, use them in your pregame because it becomes habitual over and over and over again. This is really powerful stuff. And so we took the stuff from Bob. We took some things from a gentleman by the name of Brian Kane. You get a chance, Google him. Brian Kane, C-A-I-N. He's got a mastery program in mental skills, one of the best in the country. He's got clients all over the world, high-level Olympic athletes, Division I basketball teams, men's and women's. He's got skiers and boxers, a lot of individual sport people, and by the way, he's got referees. And Brian did a two-part series for us and really talked hard about understanding, and here's the problem we have. So somebody gets into a matter of fact, I read an article about Kara in the Baltimore Archdiocese paper. Great article. There's a picture of Brian Kane right there. Good job, Rob. Wait, on the run, man. So I read an article about Kara in the Baltimore Archdiocese. And one of the things in the article said that she wants to work in the WNBA. Well, guess what? Just based on this presentation, I like her chances. I really do. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to give you a little counsel here, Kara. You want to be process-oriented and stay away from being outcome-oriented. Because here's what happens. Sometimes people get involved. They say, hey, I want to get to this league. I need to get over this league. I want to get over there. I want to get to know this person for sure. And they forget the process that it takes to get there because I'm so focused on getting over here that I forget the steps that I've got to take. Because guess what? If you do it the other way, and we just follow the process and build my game and get better and better and better, you want to become the best you possible. That's what it comes down to. And you want to do all the things. So if I were to say to you, just think about this. If I were to say to you, there's a chance that better than 50% of whether you succeed or fail is your ability to become really mature with mental skills. If I could talk you into that, then you can look at this and say, boy, I'm not really sure about that. But you thought that maybe half of that was true. Would it not be worth taking a shot? Why not? Even if I was only 20% right, there's a chance that that's going to get you to a better place. So one of the things that happens in officiating is chaos. You can guarantee it. Rob did a phenomenal job of showing some things that were semi-chaos. We talk about this in Court Club all the time. And we want to put people in a place where the unusual things, the subtleties happen. And how do I really handle this? Do I become a person who commands the room? And I get to the point where, boy, I'm going to look at this person and say, oh, they have the answer. Just like the video that Rob showed you we had a dead ball situation. And thankfully, we had one referee that was focused, that he maintained his focus. And that's mental skills. Whistle blows, timeout. Now what do? Oh, I'm trained because of my self-talk. My little voice says, stay alive, but so I'm still there. If I check out, there's a lot of times timeout. It's time for a little hiatus. I check out, I miss stuff. I miss the people that junk up the game. So I'm going to just encourage people, understand something. We did from September to January, we did 13 sessions on mental training. When every session was 35, 40 minutes. So I know that'll take us into about Sunday. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to just give you a little tease. I'm just going to tell you that there are certain things that you need to think about, and I would really encourage you to go into a study of how you can become more consistent with your self-talk, with your visualization, with how you see yourself, and get yourself to the place where there's an authentic inner swagger. I've seen this. We've had some phenomenal success stories as a result of this, just because it really, really works. Trust me, it does. Okay, now, I want to introduce you to another friend. This friend, his name is Charles. And Charles is an assistant coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. And he and I have a professional relationship. And we spend time talking about these topics. He's one of the brightest young coaches in the country. This guy's going to be a head coach in the NBA. Bright, great relationship guy, but really, really special. So we're going to play you. We did an interview at Court Club with Charles Lee, Bucknell grad, Patriot League player. his wife was also a great player at Bucknell. They were like the Bucknell's basketball couple. Wonderful guy, a really bright and a great coach, and a strong mental skills guy. But you can tell by this video, Charles and I spent time talking about how we can better relate, how we can better communicate, and how we can better build mutual trust. Hey, wouldn't it be cool that every time we walked out of the court, that the coaches and the players looked over and they said, "Oh, Kara's here. We got everything's good. Oh, we're relaxed. We trust her so much." Well, that's fantasy land. That's not going to happen every night. There'll come a point in your career where that will happen sometimes. But so we have to find little ways to connect. And there are so many things that we can do to initiate. And I'm going to tell you a story of things that work. But first, let's listen to Charles. And now I'm going to kind of interject here as he and I did this interview. So let's run this route and let's see what Charles has to say. Charles Lee, Milwaukee Bucks. What are the things that make Charles Lee? That's not me. That's him. That's me. The person who's refereeing his game.
Well, I would say first and foremost, when I come into a game, I recognize that between the players, between the coaches, between the officials, we're all just trying to put together a great game for the fans. I think there's a lot of preparation that goes into it from a player standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, and from an official standpoint. And so having that compassion, that empathy for, we all have a hard job here in this spectrum of entertainment, which is what ultimately this is. We all have a hard job. And so if I can kind of break down some of the barriers from the jump and go over to an official at the beginning of the game and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you, Mark Lindsay, Ed Rush," whoever the crew is that day, to use their names and introduce myself, I think right there, we are already starting to kind of like even the playing field. And it's like, hey, we're all in this together. I understand you.
Hey, so listen up. What did you just hear there? Hey, I'll tell you what we heard. We heard preparation. Wow, powerful. We heard mutual respect. Now, let's be real specific about preparation. There's this thing called the internet that we can find about anything about anybody. And, most of it's true, but you can dig in and find anything. So if you have a team and you're preparing for this game, and these games should mean something regardless of the level. And you can do this with high school. You want to find out the name of all the coaches. When I say all the coaches, hey, how about this? It's really powerful if you can also say to an assistant coach and address him or her by their name. Now, there's all different approaches here. I heard our earlier approach about call him coach. I'm not in agreement with that. I think that you address the person by their name. So if you're an older person, Nate Siri asked this question in a call we had last week. Okay, Coach Davis. Respectfully, Coach Davis. Well, then Coach Lee. But boy, how about the power of knowing the names of the assistant coaches? I guarantee you, when you do that, you have already got them to buy in. But that also, what does that say? That tells them that you care enough that you did some research. They don't have name tags on. You've dug in a little bit to get through the research. So there's a preparation of knowing players, and all those kind of things. I'm going to tell you a story. Young, talented referee here in the San Diego area, and he's working a playoff game, very high-level game between two of the best high school teams in the West Coast. The coach of the one team, Torrey Pines, John Olives, a former NBA player, and is very active with referees. So this official is working on these things, on the things that we're talking about. He's working on intentionally connecting and finding common ground. So he put together a game plan before the game, did some research. He found out that one of Torrey Pines' top players had just recently signed with Stanford. Okay, good. Hey, Coach Olive, hey, Coach Joe, hey, congratulations. We're really happy for you. I see that Danny got a scholarship to Stanford. That's tremendous. What a wonderful young man. He's going to be a great. Guess what? I'm watching this game, and all of a sudden, that coaching staff had a whole different look and demeanor towards that official. It was a tough game. There were a lot of plays, but he did his homework, and it worked. Now, we're gonna show the video a little further, and you say, "Well, you really want to do that?" You know, I'm going to tell you right now. Push the button. It's worth trying. Now, we're not going to tell you that every time, every single time it's going to work, but I'm going to tell you the high percentage of times it will. All right, let's go on and listen to Charles a little bit more. Let me get the volume.
And it's not me. We all have a hard job. And so if
How many volume, Ron?
coming with the mindset of the officials are
No. Okay.
we're all in this together. I understand you have a job to do, I have a job to do. And it's not me coming with the mindset of the officials are trying to really screw us over tonight. And they're trying to do this to me, or they're trying to do it to Giannis or whomever the players are too. It's nothing personal. And I think that that mindset helps me, number one, that we're all kind of like on the same playing field. And we're all in this together. And so if I can start to build that relationship at the beginning of the game, I know you and I spoke one time, even from the standpoint of the officials. So like, I'm going to try to use their name. Mark Lindsay's a perfect example. One game, I'm an assistant in Atlanta. I think it was my first year sitting on the front of the bench. I could have even been a back of the bench assistant. And the fact that he just said to me, "Hey, what's up, Charles? Pennsylvania's finest or Bucknell's finest." And I'm just like,
Wow.
You took time to know who the assistant coaches were on Mike Budenholzer's staff. We don't have that much interaction. I'm a fairly new coach in the league. That meant a lot to me. And so
So we didn't coach him up. This is his perspective. And guess what? If you were to go around and poll coaches, there would be more coaches, men and women, would have that perspective. You know, we don't hear anything about, you know, I really like that referee because they're terrific with block charge, or they're really good with the restricted area. Anytime there is a definition or a label put on somebody, put on us, which they do, guess what? It's about our personality. That 95 out of 100, it's about our personality. So this is where we can do something. Okay, let's run a little further.
The word I think of as Charles tells that story is connection. So for those of you that don't know Mark Lindsay's background, he's from a suburb of Philadelphia. So Mark, when he went to Charles with the Bucknell University comment, that wasn't just something he picked out because he knew Charles went to Bucknell. Mark was able to connect his background with Charles to create kind of this like level playing field, as you said, and made an authentic connection. Which meant a lot more because I don't know if you knew Charles at the time that Mark was from outside Philadelphia, but I'm sure over the years you have learned that, and then it started to make sense how he recognized that, you know, your time at Bucknell.
For sure. It's funny you say that because after our interaction, I actually went online and started researching his bio a little bit more in depth, and I saw that.
Okay. Powerful stuff. So you really got to the point where two people, a coach and an official, are finding common ground. And as a result, here's the secret. You will, as an official, get more often than not, get the benefit of the doubt. You'll be starting at 100 and working from there, as opposed to starting at 0 and working back up. There's a major difference. You're setting the table for success here. Okay, a little bit more, and then we're going to go to my other friend.
Not to recognize they went to Bucknell. The holiday season was just around. To just say, hey, Merry Christmas. Any holiday plans, like family, whatever it is, to your point of connection, just finding that little thread that kind of just like unites us and breaks down those the pressure of the situation that we're all kind of in.
So this is done during pregame warm-ups when the coaches are out on the court. The head coaches are not, but assistant, in most levels of basketball, the assistant coaches are there. You're out there. You're preparing, and certainly that kind of dialogue can be very successful. By the way, one of the things that you want to be for sure is authentic. All right, so truthful, authentic, and because otherwise it can be read. We're not playing politics here. All we're doing is we're intelligently building trusting relationships. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Rob.
The word that you kind of hit on, purposeful communication, sometimes is clutch. Even little things where after a timeout, kind of to your purpose thing, where you're just ongoing communication, but it's purposeful. There'll be times we're going out to a timeout and an official will walk by our timeout and be like, hey, bud, just so you know, a ball is going to be over here on this side. Or, hey, just so you know, short shot clock here, 14, balls underneath. And you didn't say a lot. You didn't help draw up an ATL. It wasn't about a foul, but like you're just kind of having some purposeful dialogue of this is where the ball is. You got this on the clock. I think that type of stuff, and we all kind of just feel like there's this open line of communication. It's just so healthy, and it allows the game to just be the game, and then there's not this distraction of the tension between officials and players.
That is beautiful. Okay, now, hey, listen to this. Think about this. Are your actions and your communications ones that help the game? Because ultimately that's what you're trying to do here. You're trying to help the game. So if you come by and you say the ball's on the end line, there's X number of seconds on the shot clock, but all you're doing is respectfully helping the game. You're continuing to give dialogue. At the same time, it's short, to the point, and you move on. Okay, go ahead.
There's really no downside to trying any of this, right, Charles?
None.
I mean,
like, it does not hurt to try. And that's the biggest thing, like, I would love to get across, like you said, Rob.
Yeah.
It's, a lot of lesser experienced officials struggle with this, and because they maybe don't necessarily know what to say, but just a little I mean, I'm sure when you said Bucknell University, it probably kind of took you back and put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy, somebody knows about the Patriot League. Finally, I don't have to hear about Darvin Ham's Texas Tech bank breaking the backboard. Like, more to basketball. Looking forward.
All right.
But yeah, I appreciate everything you brought for us today. This is going to be really good. And again, just members, listen to just the impact that it had with Charles, and go out and try it in your next game. And we're excited to hear your stories.
Yeah. Okay, so why not try? Now think about this. What is the downside? What is the worst thing that can happen? I think nothing. No impact. Well, that's kind of where you are anyway, right? So why not give it a shot? So I don't see this as anything that is, you have to obviously read every situation, because we've had other coaches. We're going to show you another coach who is a bit of an old school guy, and a little bit different. So obviously you have to know your clients, and have to know who you're dealing with. But at the same time, try to be as much be you as possible. I've said to officials, well, I know you off the court, and you're a very sociable person. You're easy to get along with. You've got a very easygoing personality. Well, why don't you take a little bit of that out there and connect with people, players and coaches. Okay. Now, all right, now here we go. Ready? So last week, and during our 60-day accelerator, we had a guest who is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, coached at the same place for 53 years. He and I are about the same age. We know each other for a long time. He's the winningest coach in the history of college basketball. Herb McGee. So you Google him, had an amazing career, amazing career. His approach to officials is very old school, very old school. As a matter of fact, at one point he had said to me, "Well, look, let me say it like this: at the Division II level, we go places with we've never seen these referees before. We're in another region. They come out there, and right away I'm going in my back of my mind, oh, we're going to get cheated tonight. Oh, wait, let's work on that. So we kind of had to walk through that a little bit and try to explain to him a little bit about the environments and the emotion, and we kind of talked him off of that ledge. But that's not too uncommon that people think in certain situations they see faces they don't know, and they see unknown situations. They think, oh, paranoia, here I go. This is not going to work out well for me. All right, so here's the situation. Playoff game in the conference the championship. And so the Jefferson Rams are in white. That's Herb McGee's team. And the game has just started. And they're playing against the Dominican Chargers. So let's watch our first call of the game.
And I remember the play, and it kind of confused me when it happened.
Oh, okay.
So
So here's the first whistle of the game.
Now, I think what has happened to officials, they start falling in love with certain calls. And this is one that I found throughout the year watching games, and not just my own team, but when we scout, watch tape, the officials have fallen in love with this. And you'll go ahead, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So obviously, just to set this game up here, this is the conference championship game, and we've just tipped off.
Okay, right there. Now, when you'll see it again, our kid Devon, our center, I think he's stationary. The referee said he moved.
Right.
And that's what I see sometimes you do see it when guys leave, they leave. But as long as he's stationary, so when I see him and I talk to him about it, I said, Coach, he said, Coach, I was dead still. I didn't move. So now we see it, and then first play of the game, we lose an opportunity to score.
Right, there it is. Now, what did we say the other day? Well, possessions. Well, here we go. You heard what you said. Lost an opportunity to score. It's all about possessions. So we took one away right here. And then the other thing is, so Rob and I talk about this all the time. First call, quality call. So, we're amped up. We're working a championship game. Your adrenaline's going. Hey, I want to look for something to call. Oh, let the play come to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right? But if Rob and I was working your game, we might be able to get a couple of plays right, Herb. But,
Maybe.
all right, so make sure we get the point here. This is back to mental skills. My self-talk, I'm going to go on the floor, and I've done my homework. I have a good feel for the environment. Now the ball goes up, and I'm going to say to myself, my little voice is going to say, one part of the brain or the other, first call, quality call. First call, quality call, right? Very important. Right, you will start out right. First time the ball comes down the middle of the plate, drive it to right center field. First call, quality call. Be right. Anything marginal? No. So we have to relax. Mental skills, breathing, big part of it. Hey, Bob Tewksbury's book has 18 pages on just breathing. And I believe strongly, I've talked to many officials who are so intense on mental training, how they use breathing techniques to get themselves settled down and relaxed so they can have a situation where the play comes to them. If we allow the play to come to us, we're going to see the entire play, the start to develop the finish, all 5 frames, well-informed decision. We wouldn't make that call. So we're off to a not so good start. All right, now we're going to go a little further. A few minutes later in the game.
My leading scorer and my third leading scorer, my second leading, 2 leading scorers both have a foul.
Mm-hmm. Right. So this is was it about a month ago, this game?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, listen, Court Club, can you sense the emotion the amount of time that was invested to get this play proper, to run it correctly, run like every day. We work on hedge, the scouting report, the things they were doing, and then we turn around and it's almost like we're uninformed. Our basketball IQ doesn't meet players and the coaches here. Okay. No, hold right there, Rob. So look, if any of you have played, coached, you know the amount of time that's invested in playing the game the right way. But most coaches will teach defense, be aggressive, and be on target without fouling. Because again, the game is about possessions. In these days of analytics, I want to get more possessions than the other person, the other team. Because I know I'm going to be able to score so many points per possession. I do the math. If I get more possessions, I'm in good shape. So from us as an official, we have to understand that play right there, the hedge play, that's a result of hours and hours of practice, of being able to do that in a way that the defender gets himself into a legal position. And obviously, they're trying to disrupt the ball screen by the hedge technique. That's obviously one of the techniques. So when we really recklessly put a whistle into that, it does a lot of things. First thing, it really kind of puts our credibility in the dumpers. And then the second thing is that it gets a coach who's just trying to coach his team sideways. Because Herb McGee is not a guy who harps on officials all the time. You know, he rarely says anything. Because he doesn't feel like there's anything productive with that. But we also know that you guys work some coaches that would react even stronger. And Rob, we saw some pictures here, and we saw some pictures earlier of coaches coming on the court and all the crazy things that happen. So we're not going to be right 100% of the time, but there are certain plays that we have to have a sense of. We got to do our research and understand what the ball screen looks like. What are the techniques that people use to defend? When we dig down on our video, so we're mentally prepared and we have a picture of what is happening before it happens. So that what are we trying to do? Rob just said it earlier. We're trying to reduce our surprises. And that's the whole key of mental skills, of being engaged. Now look, we are not going to get every play right. And there is power in a dialogue that says, coach, you may be right. I'm not really sure about that play. Now, you don't always have to say, I blew the play, but you can sometimes, if you have a sense that, and the coach is a little bit off the edge, there's a real good chance you can back them off by just saying, hear me out. I don't think I love that call. That may not be my favorite call. Rob has a term, something about, he was telling a guy about 3 seconds, and he says, I don't want to make 3 seconds my favorite call. He was basically telling the guy to get out of the lane. So there's a lot of things that we can do in communication to help the game, and there's a lot of things we can do with our whistle to help the game. Conversely, we showed a couple things that not so much. Okay, so you heard from my friend Bob, you heard from my friend Charles, and you heard from my friend Herb. So my encouragement to you is this, that this is an area of your game that you have to intentionally say, I'm going to read as much as I can about mental training. There's some great stuff with baseball people because that's such a critical part. It's great stuff from tennis people. But there are so many things that you can do reading to greater understanding as to how we really work, how our psyche works as far as how we take in information and how we prepare ourselves. But it's something that we should intentionally spend time on. It doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't happen accidentally. We have to put in the work. So I want to do one thing in closing here. I know we're kind of up against dinner time, but I want to know, can you guys see this? Okay, good. I'm going to do something here. All right, so if I take and I put this pen and I draw this, okay? I draw this. You see that? It's a very simple bell curve. You got it? Okay, now, you guys are someplace in here. You know, you're on your way up. You're doing things to get better. Up here is when you get to the point where you are your best you. It's a very simple concept, right? So you have to ask yourself, to get to the point where I can be my best you, and again, we're not outcome oriented, we are process oriented. What are the things that I would do to get myself on an intentional, regular basis to grow as an official and as a person? We've encouraged people during this difficult time to spend some time on yourself. You know, read, spend time, you know, listening, do this kind of thing as we go along. So, bottom line is, you're someplace in here. All of you are someplace in here. I'm over here someplace. Okay? So you're on your way. And the fact is that you're involved in NIRSA. You put yourself in a great, everybody can see that? You put yourself in a great place to get to this place. So all I had to do was listen to Kara for about 12 minutes, and I know that what she's doing here, okay, and I know Natasha well enough, because she's been around us with the court club, is that she's making steps that are going to get her to this place in due time. And so we don't think about this, we think about this. And every once in a while, we do a self-assessment, and we say, gee, how are we doing here? And you take the different areas that you're working on, and you look at this, but make mental skills one of the areas that you're working on. You with me? Okay, so what it comes down to is, this is something that you know, Rob and I have kind of embraced. And the cool thing about it is this, is that we have seen so many great success stories where people come to us and they say, you know, I feel so much better. And there's a thing about, you know, you can't take a pill for confidence, and you really can't fake confidence. It's an inside out deal, you know, and it comes with reps, it comes with experience. And at the same time, I have to get to the point where my mind, I really believe. And you know, I worked 32 years in the league. It took me a while to get that, you know, and I finally figured it out. That didn't mean I didn't have my moments where I went sideways. Here's the last thing. When you get to this place, this is a beautiful thing. You will have a sound, incremental mistake recovery strategy, so that you will know what to do to get the train back on the track, regardless of what happens. Because you will already have practiced this. You'll have habits and techniques and routine. Critical, routine. Okay, so, hey, we've been at this for quite a long time. I was with you guys at the beginning. Hey, John, you did a great job with this, really. You know,
Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Ed. I appreciate it.
I figured that I was the last, that by that time there'd be 11 people on. So there's a couple more than that. So that's really good to see. But, boy, you did a great job of picking the right people to present, yourself included. And boy, we miss hanging out with you guys. We really do. Rob and I were talking about this is like the one thing that we do that we say we can't wait to get there, because for us it's energized. So you know, we're going to make our application to come to Wichita next year. You know, and if you'll have us, we'll give you our resume, and you can read it over and see if we can get in there again. But hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
No resume needed. You are welcome back every year. So don't even worry about that. Hey, Ed, we did have one question since we've got you. One of our officials asked, as a younger official, they're often told to smile more or show the more personality. Obviously, you don't want to go out looking like a jokester or anything. So maybe some tips or thoughts you have on getting those younger officials to get into their personality on the floor.
Yeah, great question. Here's the deal. Rob and I talk about this all the time. Be real. Be you. So, in smiling, you know, I think that you can show that you love the game, that your nonverbals and the way you move on the court, your actions will show that you love the game. I'll give you two examples. One, an active referee in the NBA, Scott Foster. All you got to do, you watch him work for about 6 minutes, and you know he loves the referee. And if you were ever to watch Danny Crawford when he was working, you knew the things that he did. But his personality was dramatically different than Scott Foster's. Dramatically different, but both very effective because they were authentic. Are there times when there's a little smile, something happens? Yeah, but it's more of a responding to normal dialogue that you would have. There's some really neat things that can happen during warm-ups where, guys taking layups, and you knew that he had a game of 28 points 4 days ago, and say, his name, and you say, hey, John, well, he had a great night the other night. Oh, that's great going. Good job. Well, you know what that does? The kid goes, wow, this guy actually knows what I do. How about that? It's really, it's very powerful. It's all this common ground relationship building. So I'll try to shorten my answer. Be yourself and respond as you would in a normal give and take situation. Now, there are times when the game's really intense and you're certainly not going to smile, and it's certainly, and obviously we have to keep in mind that it's a shame, but coaches are paranoid, and they go all the counseling they want, but they're still paranoid. I happen to spend time with an NBA team. You can probably figure out which one it is. And I have these discussions. And then these are high-level people, and they've been very successful. But there's still a level of paranoia. I'm not going to get a good shake here. But, they do this labeling. Every coach is going to do that. We can't change that. But I tell you what we can do. We can do a better job of gaining a greater level of mutual understanding. That, getting to know them and getting to know us. And you've heard that with Charles Lee. Charles Lee said, yeah, Mark Lindsay, like he knew I was from Pennsylvania. How about that? Well, I went back the next day and I Googled him. I wanted to find out about him. That was a really authentic response. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember one of the words he used was the pressure. And, sometimes we go into those places where there's lots of fans and it's a quote unquote big game. And we're thinking we're under pressure and we're feeling the pressure. Well, we're not the only ones feeling that. The players, the coaches, and everybody's feeling that pressure. And just like we can react adversely to those things, they can as well. So it's short-sighted to not realize that.
There's some beautiful things in mental training. I don't know, Kara, whether you've gone breathing techniques. Where you inhale 5, hold 2, exhale 6, like it's an intentional thing. And there are things you can do that like just take the tension away. And I know a lot of people do this in pregame where nobody knows you're doing it, but I can breathe in and hold, people don't know it. It just releases tension. And there's so many times, even during the game, if you feel yourself, it's getting a little bit tighter and your brain is starting to work in ways you don't want it, breathing will release. This is done with athletes. You watch people on the free throw line, watch golfers, tennis players, people doing individual things, baseball players. So it works for us too. And Brian Kane teaches a lot on breathing. He's got a great program on that. Really powerful, really is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ed, thank you so much.